Good morning, Mastermind. George Wright III here. Can't believe it's Friday already. Time is absolutely our most precious commodity. And most people waste their time with meaningless activities and distractions in life. So today I want to talk in the podcast about how you can start spending and investing your time more wisely. Let's get right into it. Welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. George Wright III here with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. I hope you're having an amazing week. I want to go ahead and start out today with the quote of the day. The quote of the day is by Claire Podesta, and it says, "You can suffer and be okay." Believe it or not, you can still be okay. That's a great quote. I love that one. So let's talk today about time. I want to talk to you about time because time really is one of our most precious commodities. If you had to choose between time and money, most people would say time because you can't get any more of that. Time is really one of those commodities in your life that you've got to change your perspective on. So I want you to think about where you're spending your time. If you're like most people, they're wasting a lot of their time on meaningless activities that are really not taking them further in their life. Whether it's Netflix or sports or social media, or, maybe you're spending a lot of time trying to impress other people. And maybe you need to think about whether you're being proactive or reactive with your time. Many of us get up, and by the time the night rolls around, we've been spending all of our time doing things that everyone else is asking us to do. But if you really want to be happy and successful and fulfilled, you've got to be able to spend your time on things that are going to get you a better return, things that are more important. So how can you really get an objective sense of your time? One way that I always recommend is just to check your cell phone usage, because that's a great indicator. In fact, every time I've checked it, it always surprises me, how many times you pick up your phone, or you're doing text messages, or you're spending time on various activities. And even just looking at that will help you to organize your time a little bit better. But ultimately, the bottom line is this. If you want to be more successful and, yes, happier or more fulfilled, you've got to learn to invest your time rather than spend your time in the wrong areas. There's a big, huge difference between investing your time and spending your time. It's very much like your finances. Are you spending your money on things, or are you investing your money? I learned that lesson a while back, and, I'm still learning it every day. But, if you learn to invest your time, you're going to get a return. You're going to take yourself closer towards your goals. If you're spending your time on things, you don't get that back. You don't get any kind of a return on your investment with your time. So it's very important that you look at that, because you're either contributing to your growth and towards the life that you want to live, or you're depleting your reserves, the time that you have alive. And when you get that perspective, it's sad, because usually as you get older, that's when you get a better perspective on it. And so the sooner you can get a grasp on your time as an asset, the better. It's a great idea for you to start looking at your time as an asset and an investment that you can use wisely, and you can put into areas that you consciously do, just like you would your investments. You decide where to put your money. Are you going to pay bills? Are you going to invest it? Are you going to spend it on this or spend it on that? It really would be wise for you to start looking at that with your time as well. So remember, what you focus on grows. What you focus on putting your time into is going to expand for you, and your perspective on time will help you to be more wise with that time, and what you're doing with your actions and your results, because that perspective will determine your actions, which will determine your results. So let's talk about how you can spend your time more wisely. What is it that you can actually do to take a better perspective and be a little bit more conscious and proactive of your time? The first thing would be, obviously, as we talked about yesterday in the podcast, the starting place is your vision and goals. You've got to have goals. You've got to have a vision. And if you don't have those, it's really hard to determine where to put your time. It can be very confusing. Whereas when you have a clear vision and you have very specific goals, when you get a choice, you'll know whether to say no to that, or you'll know whether it directly contributes to your overall goals. So having a vision and goal is important for your time management. Second, you have to take time to plan. It's very important to take time to plan. I had a podcast I listened to the other day where they referenced Gary Keller. In fact, I think it was the One Thing podcast. Gary Keller, who's a super successful, owner of Keller Williams. He's a chairman of Keller Williams Real Estate, which is the largest real estate company in the world. He talks about how he always starts planning his day with a physical planner, not online, because physical planners allow you to have perspective. You can look at a week at a glance or a year at a glance, and we've talked about planning in 2-year, 5-year, 10-year increments. But taking time to plan is a key, because when you plan and strategize, you're going to be more effective with your time. Another thing you can do is automate your activities. Be one of those individuals that uses technology to your benefit rather than technology using you. You can use technology to eliminate certain tasks that you normally do. For example, we have a program that will automate the podcast and upload it to social media so that we can save time. Use technology to automate certain activities. Another way to invest your time is to create a routine. Now, we talk a lot about daily rituals, but you need to understand that sticking and having discipline with your routine and your daily rituals is a far better investment of your time than just going whatever direction things are taking you throughout your day. So having a routine is a good thing. Another thing, in order to invest your time wisely, is invest your time in mastering your skills. See, very few people put their time and effort and energy into education, but when you do that, you're creating a great return on your investment of time, because as you focus on your unique talents and you grow your unique talents, the rate of return you're going to get for your income, the rate of return you're going to get for your success in life, it'll all increase because you're spending time, investing time rather, in your skills. Another thing to do would be to invest your time in health, because health really is your wealth. At the end of the day, there's so many examples of people that, when they didn't focus on their health, all the money in the world didn't make any difference to them. So extending your quality of life and lifeline is really important. So investing in your health is really a key. Another thing would be to build and invest your time in relationships. Family, friends, colleagues. This will pay dividends to you in your quality of life, but it'll also pay back for you in your ability to have that fulfillment and happiness. So building relationships is a great place to invest your time. And then, finally, taking action. It's really super important that you analyze where you're placing your time, because too many people waste time on excuses, planning, organizing, things that don't really take them closer. We always talk about, and you've heard me say before, say yes and then figure it out. Take action, move forward. It's important to be strategic and have a vision, but then it's important to just take action. And that leads me to really one last final thought I want you to put some real time into in your life, and that is learn to distinguish the difference between activity and productivity. So there's a huge difference, because so many of us feel more accomplished when we're just active and we're busy. And then you step back weeks later, months later, years later, and you look up and you think, wow, I didn't make a lot of progress, because you've convinced yourself that activity is productivity, and it's not. The key is, remember that 80-20 rule. 20% of your activity is really creating 80% of your results. Don't get stuck in the 80% of activity that's just keeping you busy, and you're like, my life is so busy, I got so many things going on. Make sure that you're spending time in a productive way. Productivity is the key. What are the activities that will take you forward progress towards your goal? And don't get caught up in how far you go or how much progress, because most of us, like the famous quote says, we overestimate what we can do in a year and we underestimate what we can do in 5 years. It's really super important that you just look at progress, not the measurement of the progress all the time. And productivity will be stuff that takes you closer to your goal. So anyway, that's my message for today. I hope this helps you. It gets you refocused on investing your time rather than spending your time. And if this is your first time to the podcast, I'd love if you would subscribe and then go over to our Facebook and Instagram page and hit us up at the Daily Mastermind. Send us some feedback. And one final ask is I'd love for you to share this podcast. If it's something you feel like has helped you, help us get the message out. Share the podcast. It would mean a lot to us. I appreciate that. And once again, I hope you have an amazing week. My name is George Wright III, and this has been the Daily Mastermind. Have a great day. Today's podcast was brought to you by Protect Wealth Academy and the 3-day Asset Protection and Wealth Creation Summit. I've worked with Protect Wealth for over 2 decades, and they are by far the longest-running wealth creation and asset protection event in the nation. So if you're interested in creating double-digit returns, you want to significantly lower your taxes, or just protect yourself from lawsuit or judgments, then you definitely want to check out their event. It's an unbelievable collection of, America's greatest attorneys, trainers, experts, all totally live over 3 days. And it's worth thousands of dollars, but I've arranged for you and any of the members of our mastermind community to attend the entire event, all 3 days, absolutely free. You just need to go to the show notes. I'll put a link in there for you to claim your 2 free tickets. And there's only a couple of these per year, and they sell out quickly. So go grab 2 tickets to the next event, take advantage of the offer. And remember, it takes a lifetime to accumulate wealth, but just a few days to protect it if you do things right. Anyway, have an amazing day, and I'm glad this could be something of value for you.